Mark Rogers TV finally getting around to week 6 college football predictions. It is technically Saturday morning. All right, here are my predictions. Let's start with the big one. Typically big Red River rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas. Of course, the Longhorns way down. So let's just rip through these games. Here we go. Oklahoma wins. They cover 16.5. Texas is struggling big time. Let's stay in the Big 12 with West Virginia, Oklahoma State. This game in Morgantown. I like the Mountaineers to win, but Oklahoma State's a 7-point underdog in this game. These two teams are evenly matched. Cowboys take the 7 points there. West Virginia wins. Iowa, Illinois. Iowa doesn't score enough points, even at home against an Illinois team that's struggled on defense against a better competition, most notably against North Carolina. Iowa wins it, but take the Illini plus the 11 points. Ohio State, Maryland, the Buckeyes break out. They cover 32. Would I be surprised if they don't? Of course not. But the Buckeyes do cover 32 against a woeful, atrocious Maryland team. Bama, Arkansas, take the Tide coming off the big win over Georgia. They come home, they take on Arkansas, they get it done against the Hogs and cover 16 points. Ole Miss, New Mexico State. Ole Miss wins the game. Forget about the point spread. Yeah, officially for the record, I think the Rebels will cover the 44 points, but I hate picking those types of games, as you will know. All right, Baylor, Kansas, same thing here. Baylor wins big. They go to Kansas, though, and I cannot ignore 45 points. So if Baylor scores 65, then Kansas can somehow score 20. I would think against that Baylor defense, I would not be shocked if Baylor covered 45 points, but I'm taking KU plus the 45 points. Georgia, Tennessee, the Bulldogs lick some wounds. They go to Knoxville. They win it. This is a game that I projected at the beginning of the year. Tennessee would win the East. This is the worst preseason pick I've made, with Tennessee falling out of contention. And so I expected them to beat Georgia at home. I no longer expect that. Georgia wins. They cover 2.5. Notre Dame, Navy take the Irish to cover the 14 against Navy. Florida State, Miami, big game in Tallahassee. The Seminoles are not scoring many points. I know that Miami's lost to the likes of Cincinnati. So this is not maybe a team in Miami that, again, can play up to the Florida State game as we've seen in recent years when there's been a big buildup for this game and Miami has wilted. They played very well for 3.5 quarters last year before collapsing. Florida State wins, but they don't score too many points. So I like Miami to cover 8 in this game. Let's stay in the ACC. Georgia Tech could lose a 4th game, and they will at Clemson. Clemson wins, take Georgia Tech plus the 7 points in that one. Huge game in the Big Ten. Northwestern's undefeated at 5-0. If they win this one, people will certainly take them seriously. They're at the Big House against Michigan. The Wolverines have looked really strong after losing the first game at Utah, and we know the strength of that game and the strength of that performance considering what the Utes have done since then. Michigan's going to beat Northwestern, but this is a 10-point spread with 2 defensive-minded teams. Michigan's not going to score a ton of points against the Wildcats in this one. Take Northwestern plus the 10 points. That's a confidence pick. And if you've heard me through the years, you got to listen for those confidence picks because I am like 65% confidence picks, and we're going to mark this one down. Michigan, Northwestern, Wildcats plus the 10, confidence pick. Boise covers 15 against Colorado State on the road. Florida, Mizzou, yes, the Gators could have a letdown, but we could have said that 2 weeks ago or a week ago after winning the huge comeback game against Tennessee and then bouncing back against number 3 Ole Miss. So the Gators are showing some sustainability. They will take care of a Mizzou squad that doesn't have the playmakers to handle this defense. Mizzou's going to have all sorts of issues trying to score against the Gators. Florida wins. They cover the 4, but barely. All right, TCU, Kansas State. I like the Horned Frogs to take care of business. Yes, Kansas State, as we credit Bill Snyder, and rightfully so, they will play a tough game, 4-quarter game, or at least a 3.5-quarter type game against TCU, but it's only 10 points. It's only 2 scores. So TCU, hard-fought win, but they cover 10 points against Kansas State. Michigan State, Rutgers. I love this line. I'm going to take it, mark it down right now. Michigan State minus 13.5 against a woeful Rutgers team. I know that they had a bye. I know that they're at home. I know Michigan State has been struggling against the likes of Purdue. Michigan, Mark D'Antonio, they've heard the criticism now for the last few weeks about how they have played Ohio State like very marginally against marginal opponents. They put the foot down. They stomp Rutgers in this game, cover 13.5, confidence pick. Wisconsin, Nebraska, Badgers win at um, Lincoln against the Huskers. This should be a really good football game. And so this is a toss up. I'll take Wisconsin and lay the 1.5. LSU, South Carolina, the game, of course, moved from Columbia to Baton Rouge because of the weather conditions and the flooding in South Carolina. I like the Gamecocks to keep it relatively close within 3 scores. So the Tigers win this one fairly easily. South Carolina plus the 19.5 points in this one against an LSU team that's a bit compromised at quarterback. So they're not going to score and run away from this matchup here. So take South Carolina plus the 19.5. And finally, the huge one in the Pac-12 with only 2 undefeated teams in the conference going at it at Bryce Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. Utah in defense wins over offense, and Jared Goff. Yes, he may be the best and most NFL-ready quarterback in college football, and he has weapons. So Cal will score. They'll break through for some plays. But this Utah defense is rock solid, and the Utes will be able to score against Cal. The Golden Bears, for as much as improved as the program is, I've not seen the defense play against this type of opponent and be successful. Take Utah, lay the 7 at home. Those are my picks for week 6. Need to hear from you now on Mark Rogers TV.